The opening scene features a boxer from England named Billy Moore, who is about to engage in a boxing match. It turns out he has traveled all the way to Thailand to make a living in the boxing sector. However, just before Billy steps into the ring, he consumes a narcotic. This indicates that he is a hardcore addict. As the fight commences, Billy's breathing becomes increasingly labored due to the narcotic. Despite his extensive preparation and rigorous training, his efforts are ultimately foiled as his opponent lands a devastating blow that sends Billy crashing to the canvas, thus concluding the match. However, our brave protagonist gets back up and demands that they restart the fight. In a moment of frustration, he even lashes out at the referee and beats him up. Later that night, Billy seeks solace at a local bar, where he encounters an individual who offers him money in exchange for narcotics. The following morning, Thai law enforcement officials pay a visit to Billy's residence. Hearing their arrival, he hastily conceals all of his narcotics within his undergarments. But despite his efforts, the police manage to place him under arrest and handcuff him before tossing him onto a nearby table. Billy is then escorted to the police station on charges of possessing illegal substances. The day after, Billy and several other prisoners are transported to the notorious Prem prison in Bangkok. Upon arrival, they are subjected to a thorough search, including a strip search and bodily frisking. Subsequently, Billy is directed towards the mugshot area, where a correctional officer secretly slips him some heroin. He is then escorted to a cramped holding cell where the other inmates are shouting and making a ruckus. Afterwards, an officer arrives to brief the inmates on the prison rules. He informs them that gambling, smoking, and tattooing are all awesome, but are strictly prohibited, and violators will be subjected to harsh punishment. Later on, Billy moves towards the crowd to fill his water bottle when a fellow prisoner shoves him. Enraged, Billy prepares to retaliate, but right then, several officers intervene and escort him to his solitary confinement cell. The next day, Billy is transferred to a different cell, which houses several prisoners with tattoos covering their entire bodies. Shortly after, the leader of the prisoners, Kang, summons Billy and starts speaking in Thai, which the latter can barely comprehend.
"I'm sorry, Gov, I don't follow."
Following a brief exchange, Kang orders Billy to perform push-ups, while the other inmates taunt and harass him. This understandably aggravates Billy, but he is powerless to retaliate, since he is outnumbered and alone. Later on, the prisoners offer Billy a cigarette without the guard's knowledge. The same night, when the majority of the prisoners are sleeping, Billy walks towards the toilet. As he is about to take a leak, Kang and his associates ambush him from behind and hold him at knife point. They then force him to watch their assault on an innocent prisoner. The disturbing incident takes a toll on Billy's psyche, preventing him from sleeping at all that night. The following morning, Billy is overcome with grief when he learns that the innocent prisoner from earlier has committed the unthinkable. Distraught, he goes to the infirmary and requests pain medication, but the officer refuses to give him any. Billy argues that he has seen the other inmates receiving free painkillers, but the officer retorts that the medications are not free and demands money or cigarettes as payment. This causes Billy to lose his cool, prompting him to engage in a physical altercation with the officers, during which he bites one of them on the neck. Unfortunately, other officers soon arrive and beat him to a pulp. Billy is then thrown into a cell with a ladyboy inmate named Fame, who assists him with his injuries. In the next scene, Billy's leg is cuffed to prevent him from engaging in any further physical fights. Afterwards, during a communal bath with the other inmates, Kang's gang takes advantage of the situation and lights up a cigarette while hiding in a corner. They also offer Billy a stick of their secret stash, which he consumes covertly.
That's the good stuff, mate.
A few moments later, Billy expresses gratitude towards Fame for assisting him the previous night with his injuries. As he asks for some cigarettes, she inquires if his family deposits money into his account, to which he responds that he does not have family. He then borrows some cigarettes from her and promises to pay her once he receives money in his account the next week. Later that evening, Kang and the other prisoners are seen gambling for cigarettes. Billy also trades his cigarette pack for narcotics, as as he has become desperate for them. At midnight, the prison officers wake everyone up and inform them that 3 prisoners have been killed. The prisoners are then led outside for inspection. Unfortunately, a police dog smells narcotics on Billy's clothes, and when an officer checks him, he finds a stash. Billy is taken aback but tries to convince the officer that the clothes aren't his. He puts on the clothes just to demonstrate that they are not his size, which somehow convinces the officer. As a result, another inmate is punished, and Kang and his gang become angry that their friend has been caught. On the next day, Billy finds himself in a desperate situation, craving for another hit of heroin. He approaches a correction officer, hoping to score some narcotics. The officer agrees to help him and takes him to an empty cell, where he hands Billy a cigarette stick laced with heroin. Surprisingly, he even stands guard while Billy takes the drug to ensure no one catches him. Later, while in the bathroom, as Billy is taking another hit of heroin, 2 fellow inmates suddenly catch him. They demand some of it and threaten to punish him if he doesn't oblige. The situation quickly escalates and they are about to attack Billy, but fortunately, another inmate arrives and diffuses the tension. The next day, Billy is back in his cell, desperately looking for the same correction officer to get some more narcotics. A while later, the officer arrives, but this time he refuses to give Billy any drugs because he doesn't pay for it. Out of desperation, Billy agrees to do whatever the officer asks, and the latter orders him to assault the 2 chefs as they are bad for his business. Billy agrees without any hesitation. He first hits a stick before proceeding to the kitchen, where he beats up the 2 chefs, nearly killing them. After the violent incident, the same correction officer warns Billy not to kill anyone and offers him narcotics as a reward. However, Billy, who has realized the severity of his actions, turns them down. Overcome with guilt and despair, he then goes to the shower and starts crying. At night, Billy has an emotional breakdown and decides to commit the unthinkable. But luckily, an inmate notices his wound and immediately wraps a cloth around it to stop the bleeding. Then he calls for assistance, hence saving Billy's life. Later, Billy is seen inside his cell practicing his boxing moves, hoping to channel his energy and emotions into a positive outlet. His leg cuffs are later removed, allowing him to move more freely, and he heads to a boxing ring where other prisoners are training. Despite his desire to join in, the instructor denies him permission, perhaps due to his violent past. Billy then visits Fame to apologize for not repaying her. He again requests for another pack of cigarettes so that he can give it to the instructor and join the boxing team. He also assures her that he will prove himself and certainly repay her. Though hesitant, Fame hands him the cigarettes, allowing him to join the boxing team. Where does Fame keep getting these darts? After joining the team, the instructor orders him to enter the ring and fight one of the prisoners. Billy hasn't fought in a while, and as a result, he's easily dominated by his opponent. He becomes disappointed in himself and is further hurt when the other inmates mock him. Hence, from the following day, he begins his full-day practice in order to regain his boxing skills. One night, Billy observes the inmates playing a game of betting cigarettes. He decides to participate, bets 2 packs of cigarettes, and surprisingly, wins. The following day, Billy visits Fame in her mini store and returns the cigarettes he borrowed earlier. The 2 then start chatting, and Billy reveals that he has a father and brothers. Curious, he asks her why she is in prison, to which she confesses that she killed her father because he used to physically abuse her. As they continue talking, their conversation eventually turns into a romance. One day, Billy is scheduled to fight another inmate of comparable strength. The fight begins and soon turns brutal. But in the 4th round, Billy gains the upper hand and knocks out his opponent with his impeccable boxing skills, gaining victory for the first time in prison and in this movie. Later, the prison warden, Preacha, who witnessed Billy's fight, appears to be impressed by his skills and summons him to his cabin. Preacha then shares his decision to send Billy to another cell that consists of the boxing team, granting him privileges. Furthermore, Preacha says that he's the first foreigner to compete in national tournament qualifying. Hearing this, Billy becomes happy and also expresses his gratitude for the prestigious opportunity. Before the 2 depart, Preacha informs him that he has only 2 months for his training. Following this, Billy is transferred to another cell where he receives good treatment from his fellow inmates. He also begins rigorous training in preparation for the upcoming tournament. One day, during a meal, his inmates share their stories about how they ended up in prison. One of them reveals that he was in prison for 5 years, and due to the depression caused by this, he stabbed 3 prison officers, which has landed him an additional 13 years. He then goes on to say that he joined the boxing team because he occasionally gets a chance to fight outside, where he can see his family for a few minutes. Come along, kids. It's time to go watch your criminal father beat the shit out of somebody again. Later, Billy also agrees to get a tattoo on his back. As the days pass by, Billy's training goes very well. He also starts gaining back his confidence, but one day, he catches fame with another prisoner. This breaks his heart, and as a result, he relapses on the narcotics. He also vents his rage on his boxing partner in the ring. Because of this, the officers put him in an empty cell that is larger than the previous ones. Billy spends the entire day working out and practicing his boxing moves. After a few more days, he is sent back to the boxing team cell. As soon as the officer leaves, his enraged boxing partner gets into him. However, Billy reacts calmly and apologizes for what he did earlier. Considering his apology, the boxing team allows him to return to the ring and also assists him in his training. Eventually, Billy forms strong bonds with his fellow inmates. One night, the ladyboys enter their cell and sing them a love song. Throughout their performance, Fame keeps her gaze fixed on Billy, implying that she still has feelings for him. One day after training, Billy is taking a bath when Kang and his gang approach him and demand some money for keeping their mouths shut regarding his narcotic addiction. Billy asks for some time, assuring them that he will win the match and then pay them. However, the gang covers his face and beats him up. Before departing, Kang threatens to inject him with AIDS. Oh my god, if he loses the match. Unfortunately, Billy suffers from a hernia, and upon receiving treatment, the doctor informs him that the rupture is due to excessive intake of narcotics, and that further trauma can result in death from internal bleeding. Despite this, Billy decides to fight, so he is transported to another prison where the tournament will be held. On the competition day, Billy practices with his instructor one last time before heading to the ring. As the match begins, both boxers engage in a head-on fight, displaying exceptional skills. At one point, the opponent's kick strikes hard on Billy's abdomen, causing him excruciating pain. The opponent also commits a foul by kicking Billy while he is down. Regardless, our protagonist bears the pain and fights on. Eventually, he manages to knock out his opponent with a spinning back elbow, prompting him to win the match. However, his celebrations are cut short as he collapses on the ring after vomiting blood. Later, Billy wakes up in the hospital and attempts to elude capture by running away. But after going a little too far, he realizes he should reconsider his actions and gets back to the hospital. Billy is then transferred to another prison where he meets his father, who proudly smiles at him. After serving 3 years, Billy is transferred to a UK prison and is granted amnesty by the King of Thailand. Why, though?